This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
Hours ahead, we had a full day of NHL action yesterday, so there's a lot to dig into. Got a few things from this past week and some other stories, little tidbits that we didn't get a chance to get into yesterday. We may dig up. A lot of teams to look at. Oh yes, it's early, but that's with one team, not two. Coming up on today's program, Mike Smith, who covers the Carolina Hurricanes, writer for their website, will join us. We will talk about the Carolina Hurricanes, who are out on the road for a bunch. Joe Smith covers the Tampa Bay Lightning for the Tampa Bay Times. He will join us as well. We will talk about the Lightning. Good victory at home for the Tampa Bay Lightning on Saturday. It's a big weekend for the Lightning as well. We'll get into that with Joe. Carol Schramm covers the Vancouver Canucks. Oh, another loss for the Vancouver Canucks. There's a few questions about this team. There's reasons to be positive, but there's also a few questions about the Vancouver Canucks going forward. And, of course, because it's Sunday, our regular visit from the managing editor of DobberHockey.com, Stephen Laidlaw, will be here with this week's Fantasy 5. Hashtag Fantasy 5. Help for you in your fantasy hockey pool. 5 names, looking for a little help, looking for a little scoring, looking for a little goaltending, maybe something. Steve will have 5 names for you this week. Again, hashtag Fantasy 5. That's coming up later on in the program. Here, of course, every Saturday and Sunday, beginning at 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com, powered by Primetime Radio. We're live on Facebook. We're live on Periscope. We're on YouTube Live. This is the way to follow us this year as we embark on this bold new journey. And we're really excited about it. It has been a good start to the season for us. We're happy you're along with us and looking forward to more fun and more exciting things. A lot of things to get into today. Some of them are big, some of them are not quite as large an issue. A few games to look at, a few stories, a couple of fun things to talk about, and just kind of covers a little bit of everything. We, of course, always look forward to and welcome your feedback through social media. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports are the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. If you check us out on Instagram, at Hockey Unfiltered, you'll see the photo of our Dog of the Day winner from yesterday. You can follow him on Twitter, too, at Cooper Cooper, submitted by Dats and Blues. That was yesterday. We do it every Saturday. And we just like dog photos. Cute dogs, big dogs, little dogs, we like them. We do it every Saturday. But a lot of things to get into. Hope it's a good Sunday. Hope you really got a big fix of NHL action yesterday, because it gets a little thin for the next 48 hours or so. Only 3 games on the Sunday schedule: Boston, Vegas, Buffalo, Anaheim, New York Islanders, and the Los Angeles Kings. And a single game on Monday that has the Tampa Bay Lightning in Detroit playing the Red Wings. That's okay. A little chance to catch a breath, a little chance to slow down just a little bit, but 14 games played. We had the final 2 home openers of the 2017-18 season take place yesterday. I know, a week and a half into the season, and a couple of teams still had not played their openers. We talked to Dane Mizutani yesterday that the Wild finally got their home opener. Didn't end well for them, but ended a lot better for the Philadelphia Flyers, who also played their home opener on Saturday. Boy, oh boy, did they roll up a lot of points against the Washington Capitals. Boy, oh boy. We have seen good and bad so far from all 31 teams in the National Hockey League. A little over a week and a half into the season, we've seen both sides from just about every NHL team. Yes, it is still early, but it's only going to be early for a little while for a few teams. Yes, it is early, but it is quickly becoming a time of importance for a number of teams in the National Hockey League, both East and West. There are teams that my eyes are opening a little wider about. I'm looking at and thinking, this isn't really what I was expecting, in both a positive and a negative way for teams. I've seen positives. I've seen surprising things, but I've also seen things that, wow, I really wasn't expecting that. I really wasn't expecting that kind of poor play and poor effort at times. There are flaws for some teams that are clearly visible now. Now that we've had a few games, some teams have played as many as a half a dozen games, you are starting to see a truer picture of what teams represent. Now, again, It is still early. But it's quickly becoming a point where general managers, coaches, and players are going to think, maybe I need to reassess. Maybe I need to really see some of this again and think about it. Yeah, maybe a half a dozen games, and that's a fair number in the early going. Nothing is so far gone for any of the teams, those that are playing poorly, much poorer than expected in some cases. Nothing is so far gone that it is irreparable. Things can be corrected. It's still early enough. No one has become buried yet. Even those couple of teams that haven't lost a game, but they're a bit of another story that we'll get into. But it is clearly visible that there are things that a few teams need to look at. There are things that teams need to address that need to get their act together, or they will sink below a point that they cannot recover from. You can get buried early. We have seen it in the past. No one's done it yet. It's only been a week and a half. It's early, but the next week or two for some teams, that could make or break their season. If there's a team that snaps out of the funk that they've been in for the early part of the season, gets themselves righted, moving in the correct direction, they can be okay. But if you go into a funk that lasts for a couple of weeks, early on in the season, you could be in real trouble. You find yourself in a hole that is just too big to climb out of because the competition's too good. There's too many teams that you have to climb over. And a couple of months from now, you'll be hearing all kinds of stories that, oh, well, they're only 8 points out, and maybe if they can just get on a bit of a roll. It happens, but it's rare. You do not want to get into that position. 2 or 3 game losing streak, you can live with that. That's what we've seen. Teams that have 1 win in 5 games, something similar to that, you can deal with that at this time of the year. It's not nearly as critical when it happens in October as when it happens in February or March. What a team does after this kind of losing start to a season, that's critical. I've talked about this before with winning streaks. Teams go on 5, 6, 7, 8 game winning streaks, and it's great. But if they lose a bunch of games after that, you have just lost all of the ground that you have gained or made up. Winning is great. Anyone can figure out what to do after winning. You enjoy it, you celebrate it, then you refocus on the next game. It's like, hey, there's more to do yet. It's early on. That's great. We've won a few games. We got to win more because we can bank some points now. This hot streak is not necessarily going to continue forever. So let's figure it out and keep it going now. Losing, though, if you're losing at this time of year, unexpectedly by a number of teams, most often it means there's an issue or some couple of issues that need to be addressed. And what players, what coaches, what teams do will make the difference now. Don't let this get away from you. You can see it in the comments of some of the players and some of the coaches and management on teams. They're already feeling the heat. They're already feeling the stress. At this point, we're starting to see how strong some teams are, how they're handling pressure, how they're handling expectations. Not necessarily physical strength, but there are teams coming into this season that had expectations this year. Some are handling it better than others. That's a mental thing. That's not a physical thing. Everybody makes their predictions at the start of the year as to, oh, I see this team doing well. I like what they've done over the summer. They finished strong last year. They've got these guys coming back. And I think that they'll be able to take another step forward. You look at them as they go through training camp. They go through the start of the preseason. It's like, yeah, okay, this is pretty good. And you make your predictions of who's going to get into the playoffs and who's going to win divisions and all that kind of stuff. And we build some teams up to almost impossible levels. And then reality comes in the early going of the season. A few games in, you look at the performance, you see whether they're living up to expectations yet or not. A few have. A few are handling the higher expectations well. Some of them are not. What happens now is for both kinds of teams to figure out what's next. If you're handling the expectations well, great. If you're not handling those expectations, what's the issue? What needs to be addressed? Is it a physical thing? Is it a mental thing? More mental than physical. And if you're falling below expectations, okay, how do we fix this? How do we get out of it now? This is also a point in the year where you can make believers out of skeptics. We've seen good teams that go on runs for a few games. Things just kind of click, get some good bounces. Goaltender sees the puck like it's a beach ball. He stops everything that's coming his way. It's up to the players and team to recognize whether or not they have been extremely fortunate or whether they are actually playing well and at that level. Hopefully, nobody makes any rash decisions. Hopefully, nobody makes any rash choices about what to do and where to go next. But this is an important time of year for a lot of teams. It's early, and you could find yourself in a bad spot really quickly. Some teams are in a bit of a bad spot right now. It's not terminal, but yeah, it's a bit of a thing. There's teams I'm really worried about. From what I've seen so far out west, the San Jose Sharks, they haven't looked good. Edmonton Oilers, how are they handling the high expectations? Minnesota Wild a little bit too, but just because of the injuries, if they get healthy, they get through this okay, they could be all right. In the East, Rangers, oh boy. There's a team that, okay, maybe I didn't have the highest expectations for. Carolina, I'm a bit concerned about because of their wonky start and schedule and stuff that happens to them. But mostly Montreal, boy, oh boy, there's a team. So is the glass of beer half full or is the glass of beer half empty in Montreal? Hey, great, got some scoring last night. Alex Galchenyuk scored on Saturday. Jonathan Drouin scored. Oh, but we lost again. Carey Price hasn't looked like Carey Price. These are important times. Yeah, Montreal's a team I'm worried about. And Toronto, boy, oh boy. How good is that team? How good is Austin Matthews? I'm at the point, I'm kind of reevaluating how good I think Austin Matthews is. And that's for the better. At the start of the year, where did you think Austin Matthews was? As you watch him now, how much better do you think he is? Because he's taken his great rookie season last year and taken steps forward. That game-winning goal he scored against Montreal in overtime, yeah, he talked about the wonderful pass, and it was, but catching it and knocking it into the net, that was phenomenal. Going into the season, Austin Matthews, was he a top 10 player in the league? If you made your list of the best 10 players in the league, was Austin Matthews there? I think he should have been. He's that good. And now that I've seen, again, only a few games, he's even better. Is he a top 5 player in the league? Quite possibly. Okay, so you got Crosby and you got McDavid and you got Erik Karlsson and you got a few other players like Stamkos, Tarasenko, Kucherov. Yeah, you got to put Austin Matthews up there too. Is he a top 5 player? Pretty close, if not. Will there be a time when it's Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby as the top 3 players in the NHL? You decide on which order you want them on any given week? Could well be. He could be that good. And I think that's surprising for a lot of people. We'll talk about a few other things from Saturday's games. Which team should be worried? Which teams should be just a little concerned? And which teams need to just keep riding the wave? At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports are the Twitter and Instagram handles. Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is the email. Coming up before this hour is done, Joe Smith will join us. We'll talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning, a big victory on Saturday, and a big weekend for the Tampa Bay Lightning as they celebrate 25 years. Mike Smith from the Carolina Hurricanes will join us next. Suffered a loss on the road. We'll talk a little bit about the Canes. They're one of those teams that need to have some things go their way. We'll talk about the Carolina Hurricanes. Also coming up, we'll talk a little Canucks with Carol Schramm and Steve Laidlaw with the Fantasy 5, #Fantasy 5. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff, the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Nova Product Design is designed for manufacturing. Nova Product Design can get the job done with mechanical and industrial design. Nova Product Design is also fully functional for laser cutting, water jet cutting, plating, coatings, and more. Nova Product Design, innovative design and the latest technologies. Nova Product Design can design, build, and test any required types of prototypes and beta units. Visit novaproductdesign.com. We're looking for your Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day nominations every Saturday. Now you can send them through Instagram. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo of your dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate them as the HU Dog of the Day. Include your name, the dog's name, and any other cool details you want. We choose a winner and add them to the Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Sunday edition here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram accounts to follow us. Lots of cool stuff on social media. Check out our Facebook page as well, where we are streaming live right now, along with Periscope, YouTube Live, and of course on our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, powered by Primetime Radio. We'll be catching up with Joe Smith from the Tampa Bay Times a little bit later on this hour. We'll talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning. We'll talk about the Carolina Hurricanes shortly with Michael Smith from the Carolina Hurricanes. Also, a little Vancouver Canucks talk with Carol Schramm and Steve Laidlaw with the Fantasy Five. If you are checking out our Twitter feed, yes, you should be. The poll is up. Where do you put Austin Matthews? Where do you put Austin Matthews? Is he a top 5 player in the NHL? Hell yeah, slow your roll, or eventually, sure. I'm thinking about it. It's hard. It's a hard decision to make because we haven't seen Erik Karlsson play yet this season. Where are you going to put him in terms of it's a small body of work? There are others that have contributed for a longer period of time. Vladdy Tarasenko, Steve Stamkos seems to be bouncing back. Nikita Kucherov, I still think is an underrated player. There's some others as well. Patrick Kane, you still have to consider up in towards the top 5 in the National Hockey League. It's a tough one. But it's a nice discussion and debate to have. Just how good is he? He's really good. Toronto Maple Leafs, they're flying at the start of this season. Yes, they suffered a loss against the New Jersey Devils. Maybe it's one that came at a good time in a sense that it refocused them. They had been doing some things that were not necessarily where you wanted to be. Austin Matthews, though, he might be even better than some of the hype. He might be even better. Matthews is not only meeting, but exceeding expectations. He does a lot of good things. He scores a lot of goals, but he scores big goals too. 2 overtime winners in 3 games. He scores big goals. He wants to be the guy. He doesn't get performance anxiety. There are players that they don't necessarily want to be the one that gets tapped on the shoulder or told, okay, you're going over the boards at a critical moment to win a face-off or hopefully generate some offense and score a goal and win the big game. There's players that kind of shy away from that. Not Austin Matthews. He wants to be the guy. Toronto has eaten up a lot of highly regarded young players in its history. Every year there was the first round draft choice. Oh, this is going to be our guy. This is going to be the one. Eat him up, spit him out. Doesn't work. Not Austin Matthews. Now, the organization is also way better at handling players. But not everyone can handle that kind of spotlight. Not everyone can handle or want that kind of attention. He does. But look at what he's done. In a very short sample, one season and a few games. He's moving up in terms of how good a player he is. When you list the best players in the NHL, his name is becoming more and more a part of that conversation. His name, after you get by Crosby, after you get by McDavid, whichever order you want to put them in, because that seems to be the debate. Well, then you get to other players like Erik Karlsson, maybe Patrick Kane, Vladdy Tarasenko, John Tavares, Steve Stamkos, Brent Burns, although he's off to a terrible start too. How soon do you get to that name of Austin Matthews? Top 10, just from a very small body of work in last year, Rookie of the Year. But just the way he played on Saturday night against the Montreal Canadiens, it was fantastic. Canadiens, on the other hand, they're looking and thinking, okay, how do we be positive? Alex Galchenyuk, he got a goal. He got a power play goal. Well, that's good. Montreal Canadiens scored 3 goals, and another one was scored by Jonathan Drouin. Yes. Jonathan Drouin, the Montreal Canadiens. That's right, scored last night. Scored 3 goals. Lost in overtime, 4-3. And has still only scored 8 goals on the season in their 5 games played. Not good enough. And yeah, the other concern is Carey Price, because he hasn't been able to save them. That was the thing about Carey Price. He was going to be able to save them. He was their guy. That's the foundation. We got Carey Price in goal. We got a chance to win every night. You got to score a goal or two if you're going to win, though. You got to score a goal or two. But Austin Matthews, just watching him play, unbelievable last night. Absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, he's in the discussion now of top 5 players in the league. Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid. How soon do you get to Austin Matthews? Pretty quickly. So what about the Oilers and Connor McDavid? They started the season huge. Connor McDavid, unbelievable, picking up right where he left off, scores a hat trick on opening night. Edmonton Oilers dump the Calgary Flames. All right, here we go. Shifted into cruise control. We're just going to roll through the regular season. Not so fast. Have the great game. Everything's fantastic. Everybody's happy. Everybody's smiling. Then you lose a couple. And then Oiler head coach Todd McLellan says, not so much. And skated them pretty good. They showed clips of it on the game broadcast last night. Here's Todd McLellan skating the Oilers hard. We're not going to stand for this. We lost a couple of games. It was a different set of circumstances, somewhat, but a similar situation last year when Todd McLellan canceled the day off, made them practice, and everybody seemed to move on. Is it time to panic? No. Is it time to be concerned? Probably a little bit. But the circumstances are a little bit different this year for Edmonton. There is expectation. There's a higher expectation. Last year, okay, we've seen what Connor McDavid can do. He'll be healthy all year. We'll take a step forward. They took a much bigger step than anyone anticipated. And now there's a higher level of expectation. They are also without Leon Draisaitl, and that is a concern. He hurts their depth. Him being out means lines get shuffled. They're not as deep as they had hoped to be. That's a big loss. Somebody that you're relying on that much, that's a big loss. Not to mention the fact that they haven't really gotten a lot of point production from Connor McDavid since opening night. So there's a couple of things. Andre Sekera is also, or if you prefer, Sekera is out of the lineup. That hurts. That hurts their defensive depth. So yeah, it's understandable that Todd McLellan challenged his players to be better. And yes, he pointed a finger at some of the star players, the elite players on the team. And yeah, that's okay. And it's stupid for someone to criticize that. They're big boys. They can handle it. And they would have been told that privately before he said it publicly. So it's stupid for someone to suggest, oh yeah, you shouldn't be talking about that in public. Because anything that is public would have been discussed privately. Goaltending is also another question with the Edmonton Oilers. Cam Talbot was a workhorse a year ago. It was fill out the lineup card, and for the most part, put Cam Talbot in because he just kept playing, and he kept playing well, and he kept winning. He was thriving on the heavy workload. So it's understandable that they're not having the kind of success that you would hope for when Cam Talbot isn't playing as well as he did last year. Maybe he's just starting slow. Maybe there's a little something that they'll figure out and focus on in terms of practice and coaching. But in the meantime, he's not playing as well as he did last year when he played so many games. And you got nobody to back him up. Laurent Brossoit is your backup, but that's not somebody that you're ready to start trotting out on a regular basis. That's not someone you can put in for a week or 10 days while Cam Talbot gets his stuff together. It's not like another team. So that's another issue. Should I be worried? Panicked? No. A little concerned? Absolutely. This is the kind of thing you do not want it to get too far out of hand. Edmonton's got 1 win in 4 games, and they haven't been able to score a lot of goals. And they've been allowing too many goals. They've got some injuries that they're dealing with. It hurts. It affects their depth. That's a problem. Draisaitl's out. Sekera is going to be out for a while. Cam Talbot's not playing as well. Connor McDavid isn't lighting it up on a nightly basis with 3 or 4 points. It's amazing how quickly it slips back. Yeah, it's okay to challenge your players, and it's okay to do it publicly because it would have been done privately. Stupid to suggest otherwise. But the Oilers got it handed to them again last night. Give the Sens some props. They are playing really well. Good for the Ottawa Senators. They're one of the pleasant surprises to me this season. We'll talk more about that. We'll talk more about some of the other surprising teams. Unfortunately, we have not been able to connect with Mike Smith as of yet. Oh, we do have Mike. Mike, I'm sorry. I just noticed. I just got a message that you were here. Mike, go ahead. Hi, it's good to talk to you. I'm sorry that that I didn't get to you quicker, but this is I'm a little concerned about Carolina because of the schedule again. They had a couple games at home where they got some points, but now they got to go out on the road. And are they feeling any sort of pressure and heat to get some points while on this road trip?
Yeah, I mean, I think getting points would definitely be ideal. It was nice. Especially when you look at the schedule last year, the Hurricanes didn't open at home until October 28th. It's practically November at that point. So it was nice this year for the Hurricanes to start the season at home with a couple of games. They got 3 out of 4 points. And now they hit the road for a week, 4 games over the stretch of about 9 days. And it's a good opportunity for the team to sort of settle into a rhythm because before last night, the Hurricanes had only played 2 games while every other team had played at least, 3, 4, 5. So this sort of allows them to settle into that every other day rhythm. They'll play in Edmonton, actually in Edmonton right now. We'll play the Oilers on Tuesday and then go from there with Calgary and Dallas later in the week. So a good opportunity for them, a tough result last night to start the road trip in Winnipeg, but certainly the opportunity there to get points upcoming here this week.
Yeah, and I think this is one of those times where out on the road for a few games, it's the coaches and the players that get the opportunity to spend their time completely focused on hockey, completely focused on the task at hand, the team bonding road trip early on in the season, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. And for a young team like this, that's never a bad thing, especially when you have a guy like Janne Kuokkanen or Martin Necas, two rookies who might not stick around for the whole season. They're sort of, especially Necas here, might get a look here soon this week. But ultimately, I think he's probably going to end up heading back to the Czech League. But it's a time for them to sort of get used to what life is like in the National Hockey League. They're getting to practice at the top level. They're getting to travel with teammates they're going to have in the future. It's a good opportunity for them. It's a good opportunity just for a team that's average age is even less than a little less than 25 to just come together and get to know one another and hopefully get some results here this week.
You talk about all the young players on the Carolina Hurricanes, and there's a whole bunch. There's a lot of reasons to be excited for the future of the Carolina Hurricanes. But a guy who's not considered one of the young guys, he's considered a veteran, but he's still a young guy. And Jeff Skinner just played his 500th game last night. It's unbelievable that he has been in the league for that long.
Yeah, no, he's 25 years and about 5 months. And I asked him yesterday, I said, did 500 feel quick? And he said, it sort of depends on the day. But yeah, it's kind of hard to believe that he's, played 500 games now. And he's such a talented player. And last night, he showed it on the power play. His ability to score goals. He was dynamic in Winnipeg last night, probably the Canes' most lethal offensive threat. And that's what the Hurricanes need him to be on a nightly basis because he's that talented. He had 37 goals last year. He's been a 30 goal scorer times in this league. And he certainly got a bright future ahead of him. Already 500 down and hopefully many more to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we're also hopeful of seeing some more production out of some other veterans that aren't necessarily all that old, and one of them would be Jordan Staal. At times he looks like he's comfortable, but there's other times he doesn't necessarily look like he's comfortable right now.
Yeah, and that was really the issue last night, and even going back a couple of games, is the Hurricanes just haven't been able to score 5-on-5 in 2 games now, and they need guys like Jordan Staal, guys like Victor Rask, Elias Lindholm, step up and provide that offensive production at even strength. Jordan Staal anchoring the Hurricanes' top line right now with Sebastian Elias Lindholm, Sebastian Aho, an incredible young talent in the Minnesota game, especially the home opener. He was one of the driving forces behind the Hurricanes' third period comeback there. Just assist to give the Hurricanes the lead, tie the game, and then give the Hurricanes the lead. So that line, it should be an offensive threat and needs to be an offensive threat for the Hurricanes to be able to score, especially at even strength moving forward.
Michael Smith is with us, covers the Carolina Hurricanes for their website. You can follow him on Twitter at @MSmithCanes. Hurricanes on the road now for a few games. And you mentioned Sebastian Aho, and I think from what I've seen, he's going to, as soon as he gets that first one, he's liable to pop a whole bunch of them. He's been close, he's had chances, and it's just, you need that first one to go in, I think, for him to start having the goals flow like they did last year.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened last season. Sheet with assists through the first month, and in November he scores his first and he's off and running, and he ended up with more than 20 goals last season. So yeah, I think it is a case with him that once he finds that first one, he's just gonna keep adding to it. And like I said, he's been good so far this year. Hasn't found the back of the net yet, but certainly has contributed. He just makes, such smart little plays with the puck, both with the puck and away from the puck, really, that he's been a lot of fun to watch, and I have no doubt that his first one will come soon, and then they'll probably just keep coming after that. And if he can score, 20 again, the Hurricanes should be in good shape offensively.
Yeah, and the Canes, of course, are looking for a little bit of scoring from Justin Williams. Same thing, he too hasn't scored his first goal yet for the Carolina Hurricanes, but it still looks like everyone is thrilled to have him back as part of the organization because of all the other things he brings, and he seems to have fit in seamlessly.
Yeah, I mean, when they signed him on July 1st, they sort of knew what they were getting both on and off the ice. The hope is that he can be, a 20 he has in many seasons in his career in the National Hockey League, especially on the power play. He's such an asset, just sort of along the sides of the net. He knows where to be. He knows where he can get those second and thirds and clean them up. But on the bench, in the locker room, Bill Peters has talked about on the bench how Justin Williams is very talkative. He knows what it takes to be successful. He's won multiple into the playoffs numerous times. He knows what it takes to be successful, so he can lead this team with some guys who have yet to go to the playoffs. Jeff Skinner, 500 NHL games, has yet to be to the playoffs. So the hope is that a guy like Justin Williams can come in and can provide that leadership, and of course on the ice chip in with hopefully around 20 goals.
One more, if I can trouble you for it, Michael. I just want to ask you about the Scott Darling situation as well. He's played 3 games, and I think that on this road trip, we'll likely get to see Cam Ward for the first time, and I think that might help Scott Darling a little bit too. He'll be able to take a breath. I just think it's going to take him a little while to settle in and become 100% comfortable being the guy and being the guy with a new organization.
Yeah, it's a transition, right? I mean, he's never been the starting goaltender in his career, so he's played the first 3 games, and I think he's been really good. I mean, he only saw 21 shots last night in Winnipeg, and that's sort of due to the style the Hurricanes play, and they're very stingy. But he made some really good saves when the Hurricanes needed him to make a save. He was there to make them. I think he's looked really good through the first 3 games, like you said. See Cam Ward at some point on this road trip, perhaps maybe in Edmonton or Calgary, and then the Hurricanes we'll probably see split duties, but yeah, he's settling into it, and it might take some time, but I think through 3 games so far, so good for Scott Darling.
Mike Smith of the Carolina Hurricanes. Follow him on Twitter at @MSmithCanes. Mike, thanks for the time today. Really appreciate it. I'm sorry we had a little mix up there in getting you on, but thank you for this, and hopefully we'll have you back again soon.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Mike Smith of the Carolina Hurricanes. This is an important time, I think, for Carolina. Get out, get a few points on the road. They got 3 of 4 in those first 2 home games. They have a bit of a wonky schedule because of the state fair that goes through North Carolina at this time of year, but they got a couple of home games. Remember, they had that long road trip last year before they could even get started. I think this could help them. We'll take the break. We'll do a quick segment. We'll get to Joe Smith of the Tampa Bay Times before the top of the hour as well. Going to be a busy stretch from here on in. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. Back with more after the break.
There's special savings for Hockey Unfiltered listeners with our new ticket partner, Seat Giant. And Canadian fans can also purchase in Canadian dollars. Go to SeatGiant.ca, find the tickets you're looking for. Doesn't matter if it's NHL games, concerts, or any other event. You get a special discount with the promo code TODD. That's Todd with 2 D's. Just enter the code, get the discount, you save. That's simple. Save on your next ticket purchase with Hockey Unfiltered and Seat Giant. The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Search engine optimization is the key to success for your online business. It can be the key to success for any business. 1-844-SEO-LEAD is the number to call to get your business at the top of all searches. An official partner of Google, they have the tools necessary to make your business the one people notice first. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now you can nominate your dog or any dog you love as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day through Instagram. Every Saturday, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis will take your nominations for the Dog of the Day. Use the hashtag #HUDogoftheday. Send us a photo with the dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate your dog. We choose a winner at the end of the show, and your dog will be recognized in the HU Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more.
Welcome back. It's Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, Sunday edition. Here Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports. The Twitter and Instagram accounts. Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is the email. We're streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com, powered by Primetime Radio, live on Facebook, live on Periscope, live on YouTube, and a busy program to come. Carol Schramm will join us. We'll talk a little Vancouver Canucks and what's going on with the Canucks. I know expectations weren't that high, but still. Steve Laidlaw as well, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com, will be with us. He will have this week's Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5, little help for you and your fantasy hockey pool. Every Sunday, our final segment, Steve's got 5 names. Maybe you can pick somebody up. Maybe they're on waivers. Maybe you get them through trade, but it's a little help for you in your fantasy hockey pool. And there's teams that aren't necessarily looking to make moves right now in the NHL, but there's teams that should be a little concerned. Yes, it's early, but it's starting to become clearer, the picture of what kind of team you might or might not have. Teams that you were expecting to succeed, some are going, this is not the kind of performance we were looking for. Others, they had less than elite expectations and are going, hey, this is a little better than we thought. This is the time now, 4, 5, sometimes 6 games completed. Teams are looking and thinking, all right, is this just a little hiccup in us getting started, or is this going to quickly become a trend? Or, hey, we're starting a little better than we expected. How long can we keep this up? Is this really a legitimate level of play that we're going to see from our team moving forward? Is this just a quick hot start and we're going to settle back into the norm? Who expected Detroit to win 4 of their first 5? Not me. Who expected the New Jersey Devils to only have 1 loss? Not me. Who expected San Jose to look as poor as they have? Not me. This is the surprise, hey, I'm a little curious to see how this plays out time of the year, for good and for not so good. Teams are having to look around, trying to decide what they like. We saw some lopsided losses early on in the season. Some teams have refocused, gotten things together, and started to move in the right direction. Others are still trying to figure out what might be the key. Edmonton's one of those teams. They had the big opening night, and then it slipped back. Todd McClellan challenged the team, skated them hard, tried to get their attention, said publicly that players have to be better, stars have to be better. Took heat from some idiots because of that. Jeez, really? Pretty sure players can handle the criticism. Stupid. On the other hand, though, a coach that shouldn't necessarily be making bold statements did after the game last night. Rick Tocchet was really critical of his team. And the phrase I didn't like, I'm kind of embarrassed for the fans. Ooh. Now, when you got a young team, you got lots of new players, and you're trying to sell the game, that's a tough one. More on that coming up. More on the Tampa Bay Lightning in the next segment with Joe Smith from the Tampa Bay Times. Carol Schramm will join us later on in the program. We'll talk about the Vancouver Canucks and, of course, Stephen Laidlaw, managing editor of DobberHockey.com, with this week's Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports. Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is the email. Back with Joe Smith talking Tampa Bay Lightning after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Look, we know it happens. Life gets in the way and sometimes you can't catch the live edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. But we've made it easy for you to catch up on the show you might have missed. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis is available as a podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Blog Talk Radio. You don't want to miss an episode. If you missed the live show, check out the podcast. Don't miss any shows. There's a test coming up later. Subscribe now. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Use the code Get the Savings. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis listeners save with Seat Giant and the promo code TODD. That's TODD at SeatGiant.com. Just log on to SeatGiant.com to find the best tickets to NHL games, concerts, or whatever you want and save. Use the promo code TODD. That's TODD when you check out and you save. Canadian listeners can save at SeatGiant.ca. That's SeatGiant.com and .ca. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more.
It's Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis Sunday edition. Here Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com, powered by Primetime Radio. Live on Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. Lots to get into from 14 games on a Saturday, a light Sunday schedule, an even lighter Monday schedule with only one game. Tampa Bay Lightning taking on the Detroit Red Wings. Joe Smith covers the Lightning for the Tampa Bay Times. You can follow him on Twitter at TBTimes_J Smith, and he joins us on the line now. Joe, this is a really big weekend for the Lightning in that they're celebrating 25 years in the league as well. It was great that they brought the players back to introduce them to the crowd for one more ovation last night. That was something really special.
Hard to believe it's been 25 years since they started the franchise, and a lot of those guys that are on the original team didn't make it back for the ceremony, including Thunder Esposito was here, his brother Tony, Brian Bradley, the first All-Star, Jablonski, goalie. You have a bunch of different guys from all parts of the country came in for this special event to kind of kick off their full year of ceremony, so to speak. So, and the guys wearing the old '92 white Lightning jerseys was pretty cool to watch in warm-ups too.
Yeah, I thought those looked great. So 25 years in, do we ever get to a point where we can call Tampa a hockey market as opposed to a non-traditional hockey market? I don't like that label, and I mean they have more than proven their worth as a valuable member of the NHL.
Yeah, I think we're long past that point. I think the word non-traditional should be kind of out the window for most places, I think, at this point. And you look at the Lightning with 111 straight sellouts, they've been, growing into that hockey market ever since they won the Stanley Cup in 2004. But you see it every day. The Thunder Alley outside the arena. Season tickets are at 14,500, which is a really high number. People watch on TV. I think people who've been here for the playoff runs in previous couple seasons can really sense, how much this place has grown. And owner Jeff Vinik is a big part of that, putting $1 billion into the downtown Tampa area, $100 million into the arena itself. So absolutely, I think we're long past that time where we can call a market like this a non-traditional, quote unquote, because it's been thriving for a while.
Yeah, I would agree with you. The Tampa Bay Lightning also had themselves a really nice victory last night on home ice. They won against the St. Louis Blues. And I like it because this was a really tight, close game that Tampa sort of has the reputation, I think, a little bit of they've got to score a few goals to win. But I also thought they made a bit of a statement last night saying they can play a really tight, structured game the way St. Louis does. I thought that was an important win for them.
Oh, it was. I think so. I mean, the whole homestand was more of like a measuring stick moment for them, even though it's early in the season. To beat Washington, the Penguins, and then obviously St. Louis, who was 4-1 coming in. Obviously, it was really telling for them to see how far that they've come, and they want to go for a strong start, and they obviously have. So I think last night they've been winning games 5-4 and 4-3 and such, but now this is the one where they could get down to a 2-1 game and have Andrei Vasilevsky play really well again. He's won 4 of the 5 starts to start the season.
Yeah, I think Vasilevsky has played really well, and I think he's answered the questions that many would have at the start of the season. All right, is he going to be the guy? How's he going to do? He seems to be handling it pretty well. There's times where I think because of his size, he may look like he's not necessarily as fluid in motion as you might want him to be, but it's just because he's working so hard to make the saves, and I like what I've seen so far.
Yeah, I mean, he's been kind of the number one in the future for a long time now. The time is now for him. And last year, second half of the year, he was phenomenal as the number one guy as they tried to make that run to the playoffs. And he's only carried that over after World Championships where he was the goalie of that tournament for Russia. And then now he's, off to a hot start and hasn't always looked pretty, but he's found a way to win games. That's the most important thing. So Lightning Phillies are in pretty good hands with 23-year-old Russian in that.
Joe Smith is with us, covers the Lightning for the Tampa Bay Times. At @TBTimes_J Smith is how you follow him on Twitter. Can you try to also explain for some as to how good Nikita Kucherov is? Because I think still he's such an underrated player as well. That goal he scored on the backhand in the game against the St. Louis Blues, it almost looked like he was trying to, I don't know if he was doing lunges or whatever, but just that backhand, the way he was able to contort his body to get that shot off was remarkable.
Well, actually, it's more like he was almost falling down. That's how he did something with it, and he did. The more impressive goal, I think, was the one on Monday night. I think it was when he had the backhand off the rush and he roofed it. Not many guys can do that. So I think he's turning into a top 5 player in the league, in my opinion. And he scored 40 last year, and I wouldn't be surprised if he scored 50 this year.
Yeah, he really it's just been wonderful to see his growth in terms of a performer for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And also it was nice to see Steven Stamkos has his first goal. He seems to be 100% healthy, and I think we're getting the Steven Stamkos that everybody hoped for at the start of the season.
Absolutely. I mean, I think everybody had been encouraged from watching him in the preseason. He played, I think it was like 3 games in 5 nights, and the knee was surgically repaired last November, held up well. He's skating the way he used to, and obviously getting a lot of chances. He hasn't scored as much as he probably wanted to, but to get that first one, and I'm sure it gives him some confidence. And playing with Nikita Kucherov on a line, and then Mestikov, who complements them very well, is going to give them a lot of chances to get some success this year. So it's only a matter of time before I think Stamkos takes off a little bit offensively.
We're starting to see a little bit more from the Tampa Bay Lightning and Braden Point, too. Everybody was talking about Kucherov or Stamkos and some of the other players, but I don't think Braden Point got a lot of attention before the start of the season. He's put up some good numbers, and he's been visible every night as much as anything.
Oh, yeah, he's one of the best players in the league that no one really talks about enough. He did last year as a rookie, and no one thought he really would make the team, and then he did, and then became one of the more consistent forwards for most of the year. And by the end of the year, he's number 1 center with Stamkos and Johnson down, and you took that into the World Championships for Team Canada and played in that kid line with Marner. And all of a sudden, I think he's one of the better stories of this season for them, just because he's been so consistent, and that's been their top shutdown line, where they've had him go up against the Crosbys and the last night Tarasenko's and shut them down, so to speak. And so I think the fact that him and Gord and Palat have played well offensively and also been responsible in their own end, they've been they're probably their best, most complete line so far.
The question, or one of the questions, I guess, for the Lightning going into this season was the defense core, bringing in Dan Girardi, picking up Mikhail Sergachev. Would the youngster be able to make the team? How would they do? How has the defense looked top to bottom from your standpoint through this season?
I think it looks good overall. I mean, they've had 8 defensemen that kind of juggle different guys in the lineup. They played the 7D the last 3 games, which I think has worked well for them, mixing different guys in. But, Hedman's been, the horse of, I believe, the pack there. I think 25 minutes last night against St. Louis, and Strawman's been very steady. You're trying to find different roles for Sergachev and Dan Girardi, who's been really good at the PK. So I think, that's going to be a work in progress. It's a one they have mixed in some new guys into that group, but they feel it's deeper than it's been in the past. And so it's just a matter of letting the 19-year-old rookie, Mikhail Sergachev, kind of comfortable, and then you kind of slot Dan Girardi where he's more comfortable, and you don't have to play him 20 minutes, but you can play the 15 or so, and a lot of it on the special teams. So overall, it's been encouraging later on this week because they give up a lot of shots in the first 2-3 games.
Maybe that's the way to have this work, is to go with the 7 defensemen long term. Not everybody likes to do that, but I think the Lightning can do that. They've done it a bit in the past, but maybe that's the way, as you mentioned, because of specifically defined roles. Maybe this is the long-term plan.
Well, it could be. I mean, John Cooper has done 11-7 ever since his time in AHL Norfolk. I think they 3 of the final 46 games of that Calder Cup run they had, where they won like 25 or so straight. So he's had a lot of experience doing it. Takes a lot of quick thinking and adjustment on the fly, with knowing who to shuffle up front and obviously on D as well. It's something where if you have AD, that we can get more guys involved. You can manage some guys' minutes, where Sergachev play maybe 8 to 10 minutes at some point. You kind of can make sure guys are in better spots. So I'm not sure if it's going to be every game type thing, but so far it's been working for them. So I think they'll probably stick with it for a little bit.
So can we also get Slater Cuckoo to have more offensive opportunities so he can show his enthusiasm when he scores another goal? That was awesome the other night when he scored 2.
Really, well, it's good for him. He had patience paid off, and you're right. I think his celebration of the second goal, like he scored 300 in the league, the way he jumped up in there and talked to his mom that she watched it on TV, and she joked that it was all his figure skating when he was 2 or 3 years old that spin there into the boards. But overall, you're happy for Slater because he's come a long way. First round pick, 2012, 3 shoulder surgeries, had to fight his way back and forth to an AHL, and he hasn't played a lot this season, but he's earning more minutes and earning more of a role if he can keep playing more consistently at both ends.
Yeah, it was just great to see that genuine fun and enthusiasm that night. Joe Smith covering the Lightning for the Tampa Bay Times, at @TBTimes_J Smith to follow him on Twitter. Great stuff today, Joe. Really appreciate it, and hopefully we can talk again soon.
No problem. Anytime. Have a great weekend.
Thanks very much, Joe Smith, the Tampa Bay Lightning reporter for the Tampa Bay Times. If you didn't see it, it's the genuine fun aspect of the game where a player scores a goal, it's his first goal, and he's excited. Then he gets another one, waited so long to get the goal. It was a really fun moment for Slater Cuckoo and the Tampa Bay Lightning. They're one of the teams that have at least met expectations, perhaps in some ways exceeded expectations in the early going. Yeah, it's only 5 games, but they won 4. That's good. This is the type of season that many had expected for the Lightning. Sure, they had some injuries, they had some troubles, had some problems last year, didn't make the playoffs. But people are picking them to go very deep this year, not just to get into the playoffs, but to perhaps go as far as the Eastern Conference Final, maybe even play for the Stanley Cup. Good early indications for the Tampa Bay Lightning. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Todd@hockeyunfiltered.com is the email. First hour has sailed by. 1 more hour to come. Carol Schramm will join us. Steve Laidlaw will join us with the Fantasy 5, #Fantasy5. Back with much more after the break. The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Being on the World Wide Web is great. Being found is the tricky part. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization is the only way your business can get a leg up on the competition. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. For the necessary tools to make your business stand out in a crowded marketplace, 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday.
This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
Hour number 2 of the Sunday program, full of good conversation and discussion. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is the email. Carol Schramm will join us. She covers the Vancouver Canucks. Canucks dropped another last night. And there's some other stories that we want to follow up as well with the Vancouver Canucks. And also coming up in hour number 2, his regular Sunday visit, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com, Stephen Laidlaw, with us with this week's Fantasy 5. Hashtag Fantasy 5. Help for you in your fantasy hockey pool. Oh, yes. 5 names to keep in mind. 5 players that may be of assistance to you. Might be a little bit of help. Steve has it every Sunday. The Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5 coming up in our final segment. Lots to get into with 14 games in the NHL yesterday. The schedule thins a little bit today, down to 3 games, and only 1 on Monday. Tampa-Detroit on Monday is the only game. 3 today, including the Vegas Golden Knights, who will play the Boston Bruins. Yeah, here's the thing, though. Vegas Golden Knights have put Jonathan Marchessault and Marc-Andre Fleury on injured reserve. Ooh, that's tough news. That is tough news for the Vegas Golden Knights. But they've been a plucky team. They've been one of the good stories at the start of the year. This is the time where everybody's kind of looking, okay, hey, this is going better than we thought, or maybe it's not quite going the way we thought. Maybe there's some stuff we need to look at. Maybe there's some things we need to investigate. But other teams have succeeded. Other teams have surprised. Other teams have had success. It's early. It's not time to panic. It's not time to get too far ahead. But there are times where you should be looking and thinking, maybe there's some things we need to address. There's some things that we need to look at and keep an eye on. Teams that have done well, teams that have surprised. Teams that have done well, and you think, wow, where did this come from? I wasn't expecting this. Give the Ottawa Senators some props. 3-game road trip through Western Canada that wrapped up on Saturday night. All this over a few days. They smoke the Edmonton Oilers and the Calgary Flames on back-to-back nights. They put up 6 goals against each. Nice work. Mike Condon gets his first start of the year. He plays the game on Saturday against the Edmonton Oilers. He gets the win. And the other part of the puzzle for the Ottawa Senators is they did it without Erik Karlsson. Still out of the lineup after off-season surgery. He's back in Ottawa, rehabbing, practicing, working out, trying to get better. They're hopeful he'll rejoin the team this week. The better they do without him, well, the less pressure there is on Karlsson to try to hustle and get back into the lineup before he's really ready. This could work out even better for the Ottawa Senators in the long run. I wasn't sure in terms of expectations what we might get this year with the Ottawa Senators. They just seemed to be a magical team last season. Things fell the way they needed to, and it all worked out. Erik Karlsson, though, hasn't been able to start the season. If he comes back, sure, there's going to probably be a bit of a letdown. That often happens when an elite player comes back into the lineup. There's an unconscious letdown by the rest of the team thinking, okay, Karlsson's back, our captain's back, the best defenseman in the league is back. I can relax, and we can relax a little bit. Big mistake. But allowing Erik Karlsson to get fully healthy, get back in the lineup when he's ready, it could serve the Ottawa Senators really well at the end of the season because he eats so much ice time and plays so many minutes in all situations. If he's a little better rested at the end of the year, could really serve them well. They were close to knocking off the Pittsburgh Penguins last year. Sens are doing it the same way they did a season ago. System, structure, you play it this way. Everybody on Ottawa has bought into Guy Boucher's system. It works. It works for them. They execute it perfectly. They work hard. They do not deviate, and they get wins. They create opportunities and capitalize on them. Now, it's not always the most entertaining and glamorous game to watch. At times it has moments, especially when you got Karlsson in the lineup. But at other times, yeah, not so much. But they're winning, and that's what they care about. How about the New Jersey Devils? I said that they might be a team that surprises this year. Just watching them, listening to them in the preseason, they got it handed to them pretty good on Friday night at home by the Washington Capitals. They didn't pout. They didn't have time because they had a game the next night. They said, okay, that's fine. We don't have any pressure on us. Were they going to wilt under that loss to the Washington Capitals, or were they just going to process it, move forward? They went into Madison Square Garden. They put the heat on the Rangers and came away with a victory. Devils are number one in the Metro. Number one. Yes, they are tied with CBJ for the same record, but they get the top spot on goal differential, I believe. How's that? 21 goals scored by the New Jersey Devils. 21 goals. That's a month's worth of goals in the past for the New Jersey Devils. Speed is their weapon, and they are using it. Will Butcher, 8 assists, 5 games. Oh, Nico Hischier, the number 1 pick overall, by the way. He's pretty good, too. He's been able to settle in without having too much heat, too much pressure on him. This is all good for the New Jersey Devils. They are one of the surprise teams that, hey, let's get them some love. Let's show them some attention. Now, their opponent on Saturday night, that's the other side of the coin. 3 straight losses. They have looked disorganized at best much of the time. You're kind of watching the New York Rangers play, and you're thinking, what is going on here? Their roster's continuing to undergo a bit of a transformation, a couple of young players, but they just have not looked structured the same way the Devils do, the same way the Senators do. They just look like they're lost at times. They're trying to evolve, trying to get younger. How soon will the we got to trade Rick Nash talk start to heat up? Because I bet it does if they keep struggling along. Oh, by the way, in the game on Saturday night, New York Rangers, New Jersey Devils, that was a dirty hit by Rick Nash on Nico Hischier. The two were coming through the neutral zone. They were passing by, and there was a collision between Rick Nash and Nico Hischier. That was a dirty hit. It could have been much worse because Nash tried to give him the chicken wing as they were going through. He threw that elbow up, kind of caught his shoulder. I don't know if it brushed his chin or not. Kind of a glancing blow. That was a dirty hit. Could have been really bad, but he only wound up with a 2-minute penalty out of it. That was a dirty hit. But the Rangers, Alain Vigneault is trying to stay positive, though, saying, well, we're making some mistakes, but we're making progress. Another coach could maybe take a lesson to try to stay positive. Alain Vigneault's trying to stay positive. Yeah, we're making mistakes, but he's trying to stay positive. Ken Hitchcock's been really positive for the Dallas Stars. They had a victory on Saturday night, saying, oh, this is gratifying. Get a win against Colorado. This is what we're looking for. In Arizona, it's quite the other story. They played the Bruins on Saturday night, and Rick Tocchet, he let fly post-game. Here's the quote in its entirety. I'm kind of embarrassed for the fans. You don't want to babysit players, but it's just got to be harder around here, whether it's harder practices, whether you want to put curfews, all that baby stuff. I hate doing that stuff, but if that's what it takes, we might have to do it. Some coaches in the NHL, they skate the hell out of their guys, and for whatever reason, they come back the next night, they play well, so maybe I've got to do that. Some guys want more than they're giving right now, and that's something we've got to try to figure out quickly because we don't want this thing to spiral out of control, end quote. Take your foot off the throttle, Rick. Holy smokes, ripping a young team. They're kids. You got a young team. You got to be the teacher. We talked about this yesterday with Sarah McClellan from AZ Central. You got to be the teacher, and he's been doing that in practice. But I think this is Rick Tocchet adjusting to being a head coach again. He came from Pittsburgh where they won a lot of games. There were high expectations, and understandably so. You got to be realistic. Easy. They're young. You got to hold their hand. They're the one that's looking to you for guidance. Saying you're embarrassed for the fans, that's bad. Now, I'm sure that Rick Tocchet also let fly in the locker room. So this maybe didn't come as a surprise to the players. I just think it's the wrong approach for this team. It's a wrong approach for the team, players, and also you got to sell tickets. Now in Edmonton, Todd McClellan, he called out his top players a couple of days ago. I don't have a problem with that one. And it's stupid to suggest you shouldn't criticize players in public, although some think it's a big deal. It's nothing Todd McClellan wouldn't have said to the players in the locker room. He's challenging the players. Those players have higher expectations. They're capable of much more. There are higher expectations. And Todd McClellan is just stating it, answering a question. That's not a big deal. The Rick Tocchet one, you got to remember the situation and circumstances are way different. Answering a question, giving a forthright answer, it's not a problem. Rick Tocchet went maybe a bit too far. I don't have an issue at all with what Todd McClellan did for the Edmonton Oilers. Oh, here's another example of stupidity. There have been so many. Montreal media, prior to the game on Saturday, with the Maple Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens, having a media quick Q&A, an informal media availability with Maple Leaf head coach Mike Babcock, and they asked about defenseman Shea Weber of the Montreal Canadiens. So Mike Babcock makes a joke about it and says, hey, if you don't want him, I'll take him. It's funny, right? It's a good answer. Silly, little sense of humor. It's fun, shows some personality. Some clods are trying to make that into a thing, trying to make that into a big deal. Shut up. Don't be so stupid. Oh, if you're Montreal, would you be upset if there's is that tampering? Don't be a dink. We crave more personality, more openness, an actual answer to a question as opposed to a stupid cliche. Mike Babcock provides a little bit of that, and you're going to climb all over him about it. Ease up. Made a joke. It's not tampering. It's stupid to even suggest such a thing. Answering a question with a little bit of humor, a little bit of personality. Let's have more of it. Let's not jump all over guys because of it. There is no controversy here. You're trying to manufacture one. Does not exist. It was a fun answer. I bet if you asked any other coach, boy, oh boy, Bet they might give the same answer. Yeah, if you don't want them, I'll take them. It's fun, right? Let's relax. Let's ease up. Oh, it's amazing, some of the silly things that try to get construed and manufactured into a controversy. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Coming up later on this hour, Stephen Laidlaw, managing editor of DobberHockey.com with the Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5, help for you in your fantasy hockey pool. Carol Schramm will join us in the next segment, covers the Vancouver Canucks. Oh, yeah, there's questions about the Vancouver Canucks. Suffered another loss, this one at the hands of the Calgary Flames last night, 5-2 the final. We've got questions. Carol will hopefully provide us with some insight and some answers. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. We know you hate to miss an episode of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, so you don't have to. All of our shows are available as podcasts just after the live broadcast finishes. Yeah, we have dozens of little elves that work really hard and get all the audio put together and then distributed out into the universe. Not exactly, but it's available through our website, and you can subscribe through iTunes, iHeartRadio, Blog Talk Radio, and all kinds of other places. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, always available on demand. Check it out on our website. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
Welcome back. It's Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It is the Sunday edition, here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is the email. Before the hour is out, Stephen Laidlaw, managing editor of DobberHockey.com, will be with us with this week's Fantasy 5. Yes, Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5, help for you in your fantasy hockey pool. I thought I was doing okay this week. Kind of slipped. Got lots of goals, got points, but my goaltenders are having a bit of a rough go. They haven't quite got it focused yet. I'm pretty okay with the goaltenders, but I don't know. We may have to revisit at some point. But I'm trying to be patient, because Steve said last week, don't get too impatient too quickly, and that's what some NHL teams need to do. Try to be patient, but there's others that also need to pay attention to what's going on. After 4 or 5, in some cases 6 games, yeah, there's some things that we should be focused on and paying attention to. There's a few teams that I'm worried about in the NHL from what I've seen so far. Boy, oh boy. Some of them, San Jose Sharks. In the Western Conference, yeah, I'm worried about them. They haven't looked good. I'm quite concerned about Minnesota because of the injuries. If they can get through this, they got a lot of guys out of the lineup. They had a lot of young players in the lineup last night. They lost a tough one on Saturday, their home opener. against the Columbus Blue Jackets. It was tough. Rangers in the East. Montreal in the East. Oh, sure, Montreal scored a few goals last night. Yeah, absolutely. But they also lost. Carey Price hasn't exactly been the brick wall that we have seen at times. So that's another thing that they have to deal with. So they're already struggling and looking for scoring. And now they gotta have troubles keeping the puck out of their net. That's trouble. Mentioned that the Minnesota Wild, they lost their home opener last night to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Columbus played Sergei Bobrovsky on the back-to-back nights. I was a little surprised at that. Thought might see Jordis Korpisalo, but they went with Bobrovsky on the back-to-back nights. Played well. Schedule isn't too taxing right now for Columbus, so I guess they figured they'd get him in back-to-back. He's their guy. But some props to the refs in the game Saturday night between the Minnesota Wild and the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Minnesota Wild were up 2 in the third period. Columbus Blue Jackets fought back, came back, tied the game up late, and they went to overtime. In OT, I think it was less than a minute in. I think it was about 45, 47 seconds in. The puck is shot toward the Minnesota Wild goal, and it glances off Alexander Wenberg, and then goes into the net. So, of course, puck goes in, play gets reviewed. You got to see whether Wenberg threw the puck in, knocked the puck in with his hand or not, and find out whether this is a legal goal or whether you got to keep playing. So after the video review, they go through the process, look at the goal, determine it. Referee Tom Cowell, he goes to center ice and makes the announcement. He explains the play. Says that the puck came up, it hit the player in the belly, then went off his stick into the net. Thus, we have a good goal. Excellent explanation. Great job. We need more of this. So many referees, well, when they do remember most of the time to make the announcement, but we don't get that good explanation. I'd like to see referees make an announcement even before the goal is reviewed. Don't just say, goal is being challenged for offside. Okay. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Play is under review. What are you reviewing for? Because when you're listening to it or watching it on television, all you get is guessing at that point. Good explanation. Said, here's what happened. Puck hit him in the body, went off the stick, went in, thus it's a legal goal. I like that. Would have been good if that Hawks game a couple of nights ago had that full explanation. That didn't come till much later and after the game. That would have been good. Oh, a couple of other things I want to get into from the weekend as well. On the Hockey Night in Canada show last night, news and notes, segments, headlines, the news came out that apparently the league and the Players Association met last week to discuss international play. Different ideas were kicked around. Okay, good. Let's have some more international play, whether it's a World Cup or other options. We had the China games during the preseason. There's games in Sweden, regular season games in Sweden coming up next month. Of course, there's no Olympics, but the two sides are meeting and talking about doing something. All right, I'm good with that. I'm good with more international hockey and growth of the game. Now, the two sides, the league and the Players Association, apparently did a little brainstorming, and one of the ideas they came up with was to dump the All-Star weekend in North America and do something internationally. It's kind of an interesting thought. It's kind of an intriguing idea. All right, no All-Star game, but we'll do something overseas. Now, first off, a few things. This little tidbit comes out because we want to kind of try and see what happens and see what everybody thinks of it. I'm not saying it was leaked. I'm just saying that this news comes out because it's a little trial balloon. Let's see what people think about it. See if they like the idea.
I'm quite sure that the league and the Players Association would like to gauge how people feel, and by letting this little story out, this idea that has been kicked around, we'll try it out, because there's going to be all kinds of feedback on social media. The story comes out, other outlets talk about it, I talk about it, and you'll get all kinds of feedback on social media, which of course is monitored very closely. It is an interesting idea, but how does it play out? For all of the All-Star detractors, it is a boom for host cities. Teams want it. It's a great event. Go ahead and gripe about the game itself all you want. It's a fantastic event. In Tampa in January, it'll be wonderful. It also generates a lot of revenue. I could see doing it once or twice or maybe every few years as something, but you can't take it away completely. It's a big league schmooze too. Sponsors go, they love it. It's lots of parties and maybe a few adult beverages and stuff. It's a fun time, and you don't want to give it up. Do you want to try and take more teams over during preseason? Okay. Do you want to take a few teams over during the season? Do an in-season tournament. Say you take 4 teams and they stay for a week, play a few games. I like that idea. More international play is a good thing. And it's not about dumping the All-Star game. It's about doing it once, maybe twice. This is not a long-term strategy to do it every year, I don't think, because teams want the All-Star game. They want the All-Star Festival. It's a big deal to have it. It's prestige. It's important to have it. It's a big party. It's a big get together, and there's lots of cocktails and lots of parties and stuff. Oh, now, speaking of having a cocktail or two, I've been watching, and I thought of a new drinking game. It's really simple. You watch the NHL Network show, NHL on the Fly. It's the wrap-up show that they run with highlights and stuff. I still don't like that they don't show all the goals during the highlights. Last night, they left out like 3 and 4 goals in different games. But it's the same, and they run the same countdowns and the same little 4-minute feature day after day after day at the same time every day. But they won't show all the goals. It's frustrating. But the drinking game, it's pretty simple, and it's and it just struck me. Watch the show NHL on the Fly, and every time they use the word history, you do a shot. It is amazing how often they work that into the script. Ease up, please. Not every feat is of historical significance. Watch and see, honest to goodness, just keep track, count. If you don't want to do the drinking game thing, just keep track of how many times they mention in history or history in their intros and extras. It's unbelievable. It'd be a good drinking game. Lots of stuff to get into from last night. We'll look ahead to some of the big games coming up this week. There's a few teams I want to focus on looking ahead to this week, and their schedules could be an important time. Yes, it's early, but what happens over the next week is going to have a big impact on a few teams and what they may do and choices and decisions they might make. Oh, I want to mention as well here, if you've been on our social media feeds at Hockey Unfiltered on Twitter and on Instagram, it's been on our Facebook page as well. Check it out on our website. Our book of the month that we are featuring. There's a link to Amazon right on our website. You can purchase this book. Just go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com. You can purchase the book, Hockey Abstract 2017 by Rob Volman, who was a guest with us. Had some really good information, really good statistical information without, causing you to have your eyes glaze over, which is what often happens to me talking about statistics or analytics. Hockey Abstract 2017. Go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com. Click on the Amazon link, take you right through to purchase it by Rob Volman. Some good information there. That's our book of the month. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com. We have caught up with Carol Schramm. She will join us in the next segment. We'll talk a little bit about the Canucks and a few other things as well. Also coming up, Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of Dauber Hockey, with the Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5 before the top of the hour. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. Back after the break. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs. so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Nova Product Design is designed for manufacturing. Nova Product Design can get the job done with mechanical and industrial design. Nova Product Design is also fully functional for laser cutting, water jet cutting, plating, coatings, and more. Nova Product Design, innovative design and the latest technologies. Nova Product Design can design, build, and test any required types of prototypes and beta units. Visit novaproductdesign.com. We're looking for your Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day nominations every Saturday. Now you can send them through Instagram. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo of your dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate them as the HU Dog of the Day. Include your name, the dog's name, and any other cool details you want. We choose a winner and add them to the Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day.
Welcome back. It's Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Sunday edition here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Before the top of the hour, Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com, will join us with this week's Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5, help for you in your fantasy hockey pool. 5 names for you to keep in mind, little help in your fantasy hockey pool. Pleased to welcome to the program, she covers the Vancouver Canucks. Oh, the Vancouver Canucks. I'm feeling. She's a contributor to Hockey Buzz and to Forbes. You can follow her on Twitter at Pool88. Carol Schramm joins us. Carol, how long a season is this going to be for Canuck fans? I'm feeling for you because I like some of the things that the Canucks do. I love their young players, but they also confuse me sometimes.
Yeah, that's pretty much the way it is. At this time last year, the Canucks were 4-0 and it ended badly. So this is a tough start to take.
Yeah, and last night I was really hopeful. I've been hopeful for a long time that Jacob Markstrom was going to be a number 1 goaltender, but it looks to me like he's feeling the pressure of being a number 1 goaltender a little bit.
Well, last night's performance, he started off relatively well in the first couple of games. Bobbled a little bit early on and then came back and played strong. But Thursday night against Winnipeg was not a super great performance, and then giving up the 5 goals last night against Calgary and really running out of steam, it seemed, in the late stages of the game. But nobody was more disappointed than him. His body language on the ice, you could tell how frustrated he was with his performance. And he was pretty frank after the game, too, about taking responsibility for letting down his team and for bad timing on those goals.
Is a little road trip maybe something that the Vancouver Canucks could use about now?
Well, road trips generally don't turn out all that well when it's 5 games and 9 or 10 nights or so, but maybe the team bonding that will happen and probably a chance to get some more fresh blood into the lineup will be the other interesting thing to watch, since injuries are already becoming an issue, another hallmark of this team.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it's one of those that we need to get away from Vancouver and the market and the attention for a while, and just be out on the road and be a team together and focus on hockey and practice and playing the games, and nothing else, and nothing to do with the team or home life around. I think that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I hear you on that, and that's probably a good point too, because another specter that has already raised its head this year has been attendance issues at Rogers Arena. There's been significant amounts of empty seats. The Thursday game against Winnipeg had the lowest attendance since 2001. So that's something that at least won't be on their shoulders while they're out on the road.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about it last night too. There were a lot of free giveaways that were laying on the seats last night at the game as well, and it seems though ownership is understanding at the time that this is going to be a process. Are there signs of impatience yet? I mean, I know it's early in this season, but it seems as though everybody still has the backing of ownership, from Trevor Linden on down to the new coach, Travis Green, this year.
Yeah, if anything, I think ownership maybe is just seeing the harsh reality now. I think earlier on, when we talked about the whole rebuild on the fly and hoping that they could turn things around quickly, I think at that point they were still believing this ownership group took over in the mid-2000s as a partial owner and has been fully responsible for the team for about 10 years. So they've never really been through a situation like this under their watch. So I don't know if they were fully prepared for how difficult it was going to turn out to be. But word is that one of the reasons why we were seeing so many empty seats this week is because they've started to pull back on comp tickets and giving out freebies to sponsors and things like that. So I think from that point of view, it's a sign that ownership is getting even more committed to understanding that they really need to get their hands dirty and get to work right from the ground up.
If that is the case, then that is a process. It doesn't just happen overnight, because those that were expecting and enjoying free tickets or deeply discounted tickets for a long time need to understand that this is a new world reality, and that takes time. I've seen that go through in other markets, but that is not solving or helping your problem either, by simply giving away tickets and filling up seats on a nightly basis. They need that ticket revenue. The NHL is different than other leagues. That ticket revenue is extremely important. It plays a much bigger role in their financial success than it does for other leagues.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing that will be something to watch going forward with this situation is to get people back and get them paying. They've got to deliver a fun product on the ice. And that's what we were hoping that we would see with Travis Green: a new style, a faster pace, more liveliness, the jolt that the young players can provide. And that happened in the season opener against Edmonton, but the 3 games last week looked very much the same as what we've been seeing for the last 3 or 4 years. And losing is hard to watch. And when you're watching 10 minutes of power play time in the first period and the team gets 2 shots on goal and gives up a shorthanded goal, that's just not going to encourage people to open up their wallets and buy tickets, right?
Yeah, Carol Schramm covers the Vancouver Canucks. @Pool88 is how you follow her on Twitter. The Vancouver Canucks suffered another loss last night on home ice in front of a less than ideal crowd. The puzzling part too, and the reason I'm asking about the tickets and the attendance and the ownership and the commitment too, is because it seems like they're sort of trying to go down 2 paths still in terms of the rebuild on the fly, if you will. You signed Louis Eriksson. The Canucks signed Louis Eriksson a while ago. I think that was a mistake. You brought in Thomas Vanek this year, but that was a low cost and it's a short-term deal. That's one thing. But also spent the time to spend the money on Sam Gagner on a multi-year deal. It seems as though they're trying to have, I don't know, parallel universes that, well, we have some veteran players, but we also want to give our younger players a chance. And that's why I was so disappointed not to see Brock Besser in the lineup opening night.
Yeah, that was another situation that was pretty tough for the fans to take on opening night. Besser did fade over the course of preseason, so I wasn't as disappointed as a lot of people about seeing him scratched from the opening night lineup. When the Canucks played Edmonton in preseason a week before opening night, he had significant minutes that night and did nothing. He had absolutely zero data points on his stat line that night. No attempted shots, no takeaways, nothing. So I could kind of see it from that point of view. Besser has been back in for the last 2 games and has been one of the few players who has been able to generate some offense. He got an assist on a power play goal against Winnipeg on Thursday, and then he scored in garbage time last night. It was pretty, but it was still not something that really impacted the outcome of the game. He's a player who can do something on the ice and that people like to watch. So I think from both an offense and an entertainment point of view, it's important for them to keep him in.
Yeah, and I just think that this is the future, and that seems to be what the Canucks are trying to sell, and isn't that what you should be pushing front and center is having the young players and getting them out in the lineup. They have speed, they have agility, they have skill more so than some others. Yeah, you're right, they're going to make some mistakes, but I think we've started to see in other markets that the fans are understanding of that, and they want to see the future. They don't want to see the frustrations of the past.
But when you've got a brand new coach like Travis Green, it's understandable that he wants to try to ice what he perceives to be his best lineup to, try and get some wins and get a record for himself. If he, if his tenure here ends up not being very long, then he wants to have the best resume point that he can possibly create in order to sort of go on his career. So I do understand where the dilemma lies for him, but I agree with you that the Vanek signing for me in the summer was the one that was tough to take because it came so late in the summer, and it was easy to see that the forward ranks were already pretty crowded, and that was going to probably diminish the opportunity for kids up front. And like you say, I wanted to see the kids, and I wanted to have the opportunity to let them learn on the NHL stage. Like I said, there have been a couple of injuries already. Alex Edler's on the shelf for 4 to 6 weeks with a knee problem. So Derek Pouliot drew in last night. He played okay. So that was encouraging. And Eriksson was injured last night on his first shift of the game, and that was a knee problem as well. He went hard into the net, and my guess is that doesn't look good. So that could open up an opportunity for another kid as well. Jake Virtanen was scratched last night, so I could see him drawing back in. And Nikolai Goldobin has been doing well in the AHL since he was sent down. He has, I believe, 7 goals in 7 games so far, so he could be on his way to getting a call-up as well.
Yeah, that's good. The other player who's kind of the forgotten one almost on the forward ranks too is Brandon Sutter. He's looked good at times, and there's other times that he, along with the Canucks, have been frustrated. But I think everybody's almost forgotten about Brandon Sutter a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like Travis is going to use him in a much more defensive role. He's anchoring, what's perceived to be the fourth line, and has been pretty effective in that role, especially against Edmonton. He was very good there. And Marcus Granlund is playing on that fourth line as well, and he was one of the stronger offensive forces that the Canucks had last year. So I don't know. They're getting a decent amount of ice time, and they're being important, but Sutter's not getting the power play time that he got last year. He's just taking a lot of face-offs, working on the penalty kill, and matching up against the other team's top players.
Carol, just before I let you go, I guess we have to have the obligatory Sedin question of Daniel and Henrik. Their contract is up this year. They will not be traded by the Vancouver Canucks. They want to finish their career in Vancouver. This would be, I guess, the preemptive question to all of the ridiculous speculation that will go on later in the year.
I doubt that we'll see any change there. They're so committed to staying in Vancouver. But again, if their performance is subpar, and if the Canucks continue to lose, you're right that is not going to be enough to keep people from wondering if anything else is going to happen. people with the rough start already at the beginning of this season, the Canucks could be a bit of a spectacle this year, and I'm sure the Cedians won't get away unscathed.
Yes, I'm sure that they will be questioned at every stop. Carol Schramm covering the Vancouver Canucks, Hockey Buzz for Forbes. @Pool88 is how you follow her on Twitter. Always appreciate the time, Carol. Thanks so much. Hopefully we'll do it again soon.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me, Todd.
Thank you. Carol Schramm covering the Vancouver Canucks. It's an interesting time for the Vancouver Canucks. Some of the signings, some of the acquisitions of players push those young players out. It's the way, and especially since Travis Green has worked with so many of them in the American Hockey League, teaching, growing young players. I think that's the way to go. We'll look ahead to some of the games coming up this week. There's some interesting matchups. We'll look ahead to some of the teams and their specific schedules this week. Yeah, it's still very early in the NHL season, but we're reaching a point that could be of significant importance for a number of teams in the National Hockey League who are off to surprising starts. Both positive surprises and the not so good surprises. @Hockey Unfiltered, @Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. Todd @hockeyunfiltered.com is the email. Stephen Laidlaw with the Fantasy 5, #Fantasy 5, help for you and your fantasy hockey pool up after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Look, we know it happens. Life gets in the way and sometimes you can't catch the live edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. But we've made it easy for you to catch up on the show you might have missed. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis is available as a podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Blog Talk Radio. You don't want to miss an episode. If you missed the live show, check out the podcast. Don't miss any shows. There's a test coming up later. Subscribe now. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Use the code Get the Savings. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis listeners save with Seat Giant and the promo code TODD. That's TODD at SeatGiant.com. Just log on to SeatGiant.com to find the best tickets to NHL games, concerts, or whatever you want and save. Use the promo code TODD. That's TODD when you check out and you save. Canadian listeners can save at SeatGiant.ca. That's SeatGiant.com and .ca. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more.
This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, Sunday edition, here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com, powered by Primetime Radio. Also live on Facebook, live on Periscope, live on YouTube, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. Oh, it's been a busy program. A lot of ground covered, a lot of good comments and questions and stories today. A few more that we'll squeeze in before the top of the hour. But now the important part for you and your fantasy hockey pool. We're getting towards the end of week number 1 for most pools, and everybody's looking for a little help, a little boost. So we call in our expert, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com, Stephen Laidlaw. If you follow him on Twitter, you should, at Steve Laidlaw, with this week's Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5. Steve, how are you? How's it going in the first week of the pool? Doing okay?
Oh yeah, I'm doing great. I mean, you know, the pools, it's always rough early going. You know, you don't know who's going to start hot, who's going to start slow. But, you battle through and you make some savvy waiver pickups like the ones I've been making here the past couple of weeks, and you can get ahead early on, and hopefully that powers you all the way to the playoffs.
Nice. Okay, here's some help from Steve for you and your fantasy hockey pool, the Fantasy 5. Hashtag Fantasy 5. Name number 1, a guy I was talking about yesterday. All he's done is put up points since arriving in Colorado, and that is Sven Andrighetto.
Absolutely. Some excellent chemistry between Andrighetto and Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen. That's a really good number 1 line for the Colorado Avalanche. Some underrated players on that line, but certainly a lot of talent. They're picking up where they left off last season. Andrighetto's got 21 points in 25 games since getting traded to Colorado, including 6 points in 6 games this season. So that's a 68-point pace over 82 games. I wouldn't necessarily expect him to score at that rate over 82 games, but I think something in the high 50s is possible, assuming he stays healthy. So if he's out there on your waiver wire and he's in a lot of leagues, he's someone who could give you a boost right now.
Yeah, that's definitely worth a quick pickup. Jason Pominville of the Buffalo Sabres. Yes, yet again, Jason Pominville of the Buffalo Sabres. The population of Pominville continues to rise.
Yeah, I mean, he's always scored at a really good 5-on-5 rate, even when he was buried on the Minnesota Wild the past couple of seasons. But right now, it looks like the only guys who can score in that Sabres lineup are Pominville, Eichel, and Evander Kane. So he's on that line. They're producing. He's starting to edge out Okposo for some top unit power play time. And, we know the Sabres power play hasn't been great so far this year, but historically they've been really good. So he's definitely someone you could consider picking up. Even, swapping him for Okposo isn't the worst idea in the world.
Name number 3 on Steve's Fantasy 5 this week, hashtag Fantasy 5, is Mika Zibanejad of the New York Rangers. Don't let the Rangers' bad record fool you. Mika Zibanejad is a good pickup.
Even if the Rangers are a bad team, there's still value to be mined from bad teams. He's getting over 19 minutes a game, well up over anything he's seen in his career. They're using him a ton on the number 1 power play unit. He's their number 1 centerman. They're teeing him up for one-timers on that power play unit. Historically, they haven't been great on the power play. As long as he's getting lots of minutes, he'll still definitely produce. He's averaging almost 4 shots a game. We love guys who pile up shot totals. It tends to lead to a lot of goals. He's already got 5 on the season, shooting a slightly higher percentage than we would expect. But, he should continue to pile up goals, points, and lots of shots.
Name number 4 on this week's Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5, with Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com. Follow him on Twitter at Steve Laidlaw. Goaltending help. 3 straight wins now for Connor Hellebuck and the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, it was always going to be a good goaltending battle in Winnipeg. Steve Mason, he's got the bigger contract, maybe the bigger name, and he won the starting job out of camp, but 2 quick, miserable outings, and he's ready to be dumped to the waiver wire. And Hellebuck, again, 3 straight wins, some great numbers. He had the potential. I was really high on him for last season, but he wasn't able to produce. He's off to a good start this season. Maybe that helps elevate the confidence. Maybe he worked on a few things in the off season. He's a potential breakout candidate. Definitely, he's a number 3 goalie for fantasy rosters, but he's definitely one worth considering, especially because he's widely available in fantasy leagues right now.
And the final name, Anthony Mantha of the Detroit Red Wings on this week's Fantasy 5 from Steve Laidlaw. Why do you like Anthony Mantha?
Well, number 1, the Red Wings are one of only 3 teams with 4 games this week. I'm always a huge proponent of loading up on teams with a number of games played. It just increases the opportunity to produce points. And with games such a scarcity this week, grabbing a Red Wing and one who happens to be red hot in Mantha. You know, that line with Martin Firk and Dylan Larkin seems to be clicking. He's on the second power play unit, but they're dividing the power play time really evenly in Detroit. So I wouldn't put too much stock in which unit the guy's on. All he does is produce points. He's done it at every level. He's not huge for your bangers and mash type leagues, but for a big guy. But he's a goal scorer, and that's something that he can do for you in 4 games this week.
That's the Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5 from Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com. At Steve Laidlaw is how you follow him on Twitter. No pressure, Steve. I'm just going to say that, we're 3 weeks, I believe, now into this season's Fantasy 5 segment. And I haven't heard you use the phrase shoots the crap out of the puck once. I'm just saying. I don't want to pressure you. I'm just saying.
Well, I don't want to force it.
Okay, fair enough.
When it comes up, it'll happen organically, and it'll be majestic.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thanks for this, Steve. We'll do it again next week.
Yeah, take care, Todd.
Thanks, Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com. If you missed any of the Fantasy 5, here it is quickly again. Sven Andrighetto, the Colorado Avalanche, Jason Pominville of the Buffalo Sabres, Mika Zibanejad of the New York Rangers, Connor Hellebuck, goaltender for the Winnipeg Jets, and Anthony Mantha of the Detroit Red Wings. We will tweet out the Fantasy 5 list. We'll put it up on our Instagram account as well, at Hockey Unfiltered, up on our website, of course, as well, and our Facebook page. I was just saying, I just kind of missed that phrase. And when Steve says it, I get kind of giggly and excited inside. Good information there as well, too, about the Detroit Red Wings playing 4 games this week. The schedule is kind of light in a few areas. There's only 3 games today, Boston and Las Vegas. Oh, and by the way, the Vegas Golden Knights, if you missed it earlier, they have placed Marc-Andre Fleury on IR. Jonathan Marchessault has also gone on IR for the Vegas Golden Knights. So now the goaltending tandem for Vegas is Malcolm Subban and Maxime Lagacé. One other quick little player note as well. Mark Streit has been placed on unconditional waivers by the Montreal Canadiens to move the process along of terminating the player contract. Gee, who didn't see that coming? Come on, man, oh man. As I mentioned, though, the schedule is kind of light. Boston and Las Vegas on Sunday, Buffalo and Anaheim on Sunday, New York Islanders and LA Kings on Sunday. That's it, 3 games. And then on Monday, also a very light schedule with just a single game with the Tampa Bay Lightning in Detroit to take on the Red Wings. I kind of like single game nights. It's sort of like the Monday Night Football thing. You just got one game to focus on. You're not trying to jump around from game to game to game. And I do kind of like that. In fact, it's going to happen again a week from today. Next Sunday, Vancouver Canucks and Detroit Red Wings is the only game on the schedule. So twice in a week, this is going to happen. Kind of interesting. Some other interesting matchups as well. This is an interesting times. It's going to be an interesting week for a number of teams when we reconvene next Saturday and Sunday at 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. I think we're going to have a better idea of which teams that have succeeded are for real and which teams may have struggled after the first 4, 5, or 6 games this season seem to be on track to turn things in the right direction. It'll still be a little early, but it will really be reaching the critical point when we gather again next Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Thanks to Steve Laidlaw for this week's Fantasy 5, to Carol Schramm for Canucks Talk, to Joe Smith for the Tampa Bay Lightning Talk, and to Mike Smith from the Carolina Hurricanes Talk. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports. Check out our website and our Facebook page as well. Have a great week of hockey. Back again next Saturday and Sunday.
The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova product design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova product design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova product design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova product design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Being on the World Wide Web is great. Being found is the tricky part. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization is the only way your business can get a leg up on the competition. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. For the necessary tools to make your business stand out in a crowded marketplace, 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday.